And Douglas Sedgwick was a US-born British writer. Born in 1873 in Englewood, New Jersey, the daughter of attorney George Stanley Sedgwick and Mary Douglas, the family moving to London when she was 9. She would live the rest of her life in Britain, except for 2 years spent with her grandparents in Ohio in her teens. In 1908 she married essayist Basil de Selincourt. She and her husband did volunteer work in hospitals and orphanages in France during World War I. Her first novel, The Dull Miss Archinard, was published in 1898 thanks to her father, without her intending to have it published initially. Her first major success was her 1911 Tante, a novel of a destructive relationship between a pianist and her young female protege. It was adapted into a film in 1919 as The Impossible Woman. Her 1924 The Little French Girl was also made into a film in 1925. Her work has been compared to Edith Wharton and Henry James, writing stories of contrasting mores in society. In 1931 she was elected to the American National Institute of Arts and Letters. She died in Hampstead in 1935. Today we will review her 1920 The Third Window. The novel begins with Captain Bevis Saltinel, recently deprived of a leg courtesy of the war, visiting his friend Antonia Tony Wellwood at her late husband's house at Windwards. As they sit in the drawing room, Tony starts hinting at something while going on about how much she hates one specific window in the room. The reason is she half expects to see her dead husband Malcolm standing out by the fountain when looking through the window. Bevis tries to tell her this is nonsense, but then Tony starts asking about whether Bevis believes in the immortality of the soul. Except the reason she asks is so she can make a big fuss about whether her dead husband still loves her and whether she's being unfaithful because she fell in love with Bevis. Bevis tries to reason with her and she seems half convinced, but always seems to find some word or turn of phrase he used to turn against his argument. After several ups and downs, Bevis realizes another danger. Malcolm's cousin Cicely, who is a permanent resident at Windwards, which originally belonged to her parents. A dull person without any charm, she resents Bevis from the first, and works against him by feeding Tony her own ideas about the soul and life after death, so that Tony seems to want to see Malcolm's ghost out there in the garden. This goes on for a bit, with Cicely openly telling Bevis he should leave Tony and never see her again if he cares about her. He won't have it, but after Tony suggests some table tipping, a type of spiritist seance where Cicely has played medium before, and he goes through with it despite his reservations, there is a presence rapping out a message on the wood to go look beside the fountain. Tony is spooked, but they see nothing, but Cicely conveniently says she saw Malcolm's ghost when the two went away. Tony wants to separate and go to Cornwall, but Bevis figures out that the reason why Cicely knew how Malcolm died was, apparently she had unknowingly read Bevis's mind during the seance. Honestly, this big revelation is fairly weak and not as triumphant as he makes it out to be, especially since Cicely poisons Tony's mind and she ends up killing herself that same night. Cicely being very happy that she managed this. The story is rather thin. There is a bit too much discussion on whether Tony loves Bevis and whether Bevis loves Tony, and the fantastic is relegated to Cicely's unintentional mind reading.